All right. Day 2. Let's go. All right. So today I figured, well, I've been spending a lot of my time and energy reflecting. I talked about that in my first video, reflecting on this past year and what I've been able to accomplish. That shift that I was talking about from being like performance focused on lowering my times in my races to really trying to transform the way I run. Um, and I didn't mention this yesterday, but part of the motivation for that too was I've seen runners that are running the times that I want to run. For example, under 120 for the marathon, or in the 16s or 17s for the 5K, and they don't necessarily look like they're floating either. They look like they're working really hard, like I do. And again, I know like working hard is part of it, but there's that fun factor isn't there. That light, being able to kind of float in your stride. And I do believe that there are like two parts of your stride. There's the part where you're putting down force, and then there's the part where you're in like a recovery phase, or at least one of your legs is in recovery phase as it's kind of floating back behind you, and then it's gonna come back in, and then it's got to do the power and then the reset. And so I know that power and strength and all of that, it's a part of it. But anyways, I'm getting off on a little bit of a tangent. What I wanted to do today was to talk about this approach that I've taken this past year. I wanted to start by, I started doing this at the end of the day yesterday. I was going back through my text messages with my buddy, because I remember that on the days that I felt the best out there when I was doing all this, these practices, I would text him and kind of update him on how I felt. So I've been going back through my text messages. I'm going to try to pull up a couple of them for you guys. Maybe I need more strides. So at the beginning of the year, I started very amped up, as I always do, to like do new things. And I have written down here that the two big things that I was focused on at the beginning of the year last year was glute activation, which I've got some specific exercises that I do in relation to that have been working pretty well. And then strides. So glute activation and strides. So I was doing a little bit of strength before my run, trying to get the right muscles to fire. And then strides, I was typically doing them after my runs. So I would finish my easy run, and then I would do a set of strides, just 100-meter strides, 20 seconds on, 40 seconds recovery. And I would set that up in my watch and do some sets of those. But so I talked about strides a little bit. That gives me time for strides. Hoping to get back into some strides again. So this is all like the beginning, the first half of the year. But when I get into July is when I feel like I had a breakthrough. And that's when I was the most pumped to start talking about this to other people. I think I put a few videos on my Instagram at the time. And so I said here to my buddy in like the middle of July, remember how I was telling you how fast I felt and like I was unlocking better form with a better stride? It feels like I was able to jump right back into that. And then just 3 days after that, I said, dude, my stride is next level now. I cannot tell you how fun it is that all of this is happening at the same time as all of my name change stuff. So that was earlier this year. I legally changed my name, and this just all being like this big kind of transformative thing that was happening for me. It felt so cool for the two things to be happening simultaneously. Again in July, a few days later, I literally did everything this morning and I'm wiped out. And this is I had kind of laid out like the things that I was doing. And so I said sit-ups, which was for my core strength, glute activation, breathing exercises, running belt, and treadmill elevation and strides. Treadmill elevation, like the once a week I'm doing like a hill session, and I do the hill session on the treadmill, and that allows me to like scale it as far as like the incline. And so week after week I was scaling it higher and higher, and adding more and more to that. And the other thing I like about that, just quickly, is the fact that I don't have to do the downhills. So instead of every uphill having a downhill, because that downhill is not counting for your elevation, it was, I was able to focus just on the uphill. So I really do like that. We can talk about that again in the future. But I thought I had a couple more here. Let me see. Dude, I've been having so much fun on my runs. Everything is just clicking with my stride, and it makes it 10 times more enjoyable. I think the strides are taking it out of me. I was probably doing a lot at the time. I think the biggest advancements in my stride have been largely influenced by me learning to breathe from my rib cage / back. So that's probably a good transition, because the other thing that happened in July is I bought this breath trainer. Actually, I'll go grab it real quick. So I've shown it on the video on my Instagram, but not here yet. So this is the breath trainer that I use. It's on the one side it's got a flap, and on the other side it's got where you can switch out, and it has different sized holes. And so that adjusts like the resistance of breathing. Right now I got a pretty small one on it, but basically I realized I did a 4th of July 5K, and I realized at that race that unlike other people, breathing seems to be the thing that holds me the most back. I talked to other people after the race, and they're like, oh, my legs, and that's normally not it for me. Normally it's the breathing. Normally I get into a point in the race where I'm kind of almost hyperventilating, breathing so fast. And so in July I realized that I needed to focus on my breath. And so this was something I found. It's a breath trainer. I believe it cost $60 or $70, which was quite an investment. But I felt like it made, when I started using it, and I was very diligent at first, I felt like it made huge advancements in my running form, which is crazy because when you're thinking about your legs, you're not really thinking about how you're breathing. And you wouldn't really think that changing your breath would change how light you feel on your feet or how your leg is kicking, but it really does. So honestly, this is probably one of the biggest things, if not the biggest thing, that has affected my stride. And so I try to remember that and keep coming back to it. But between this and then the running belt, which I actually have here too, I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see it in the shot, but this is also something I started doing at the beginning of the year. I started using my old one that I had. But then in July, there was just a lot of energy for me. It was almost like the start of a new year. In July, I was talking to a manufacturer and actually had a prototype made. So this one's actually a lot better quality than the one I've had that I've been sitting on for quite a few years. The belt itself is more cushioned, more comfortable. The ankle straps are significantly more comfortable. But basically it's just 3 pieces. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, I guess 6 if you count 5. All right. It's the belt. All right. The main part that goes around your waist. And the belt has these loops, which are part of the belt. And then it's got 2 bungees, which right now I'm just using these Home Depot bungees that I keep buying because I use it so much. I go through the bungees quite a bit. So I try to find a cheap source for those. And then it's got the 2 ankle straps. So one for the right and one for the left. So yeah, a total of 5 pieces. Pretty simple. The ankle straps, this part comes around your ankle, and then this part goes underneath your foot. And they've been lasting quite a while. Like I said, I bought this prototype one that they made for me back in July. And, I'm still trying to decide as far as sizing. I want to be able to make it in a size that fits a lot of people. I'm thinking about maybe just doing like an adult size that has the range that you can adjust it, and then doing a youth size. But all of this stuff that I'm sharing is stuff I'm super passionate about, and I'll try to, in other videos, I'll try to break out, I guess, like one thing at a time so that I can go in a little more detail. And then obviously if there's questions, I'm going to be excited and eager to answer those and to continue the conversation. But yeah, I feel like that's a little bit like one layer. I've been able to go one layer further as far as explaining to you what it is that this past year has brought for me and the changes it has made, and the tools that I've used to make those changes. And yeah, it's a journey, so I'm excited to continue on with it. Honestly, talking about it makes me more committed to doing the practice. The time and energy that it takes can sometimes be draining, and sometimes it feels like a lot, but it's important to me. And like I said, it's kind of like my primary focus in running right now. I'd like to get faster, but this is the part I'm putting the energy into. So probably a little lengthy of a video today, but I'm going to wrap it up with that. So thanks for checking it out. We'll see you later.